In 1978, a presidential aide accidentally discovered a CIA audio file. He died 3 weeks later, but not before whispering one chilling sentence. Washington, D.C., 1978, winter. The snow had barely begun to melt when Matthew Langley received a beige envelope with no return address. At 32 years old, Langley was the youngest policy aide in the Carter administration. He wasn't important, he wasn't powerful, but he was trusted, and in D.C., that made him dangerous. What he didn't know that morning, as he tucked the envelope into his leather briefcase, was that it didn't belong to him, not even close. It was meant for a man named Vernon Kell, a retired CIA liaison who hadn't been seen in nearly 2 years. 3 days later, in the quiet of his Capitol Hill apartment, Matthew finally opened the envelope. Inside, a short memo marked Eyes Only, SH, and a single cassette tape labeled C Program Audio D3. He slid it into his tape player and pressed play. Test subject 0147 no longer responds to verbal override. Memory has degraded. Subject recalls none of prior civilian life. Subject now responds to handler's commands only. Emotional resistance eliminated. Matthew froze. The voice on the tape wasn't just clinical. It was proud. He stopped the tape at exactly 4 minutes and 32 seconds, panting. The room felt smaller now. He rewound it, played it again, and again. What was the C program? Who was the subject? And why did he have this? Langley brought the tape to his supervisor the next morning. Judith Emmerich, a woman known for her loyalty to the president and her allergy to conspiracies, didn't even blink. "Lose the tape," she said, "if you ever want to work in this town again." Matthew didn't respond, but from that day forward, he started carrying a second tape recorder, just in case. Within 48 hours, the whispers began. He was followed to his car. Twice. His office phone rang at night with no one on the line. And once, just once, someone broke into his apartment and left. Nothing missing, only the smell of cigarette smoke. He needed answers, and fast. A week later, Matthew tracked the envelope's origin to an old government storage site in Maryland. The facility, officially decommissioned, still had power, and a guard, one who strangely didn't ask for ID. Inside, under layers of dust and decades of silence, Matthew found box number 71A. The tag read, MK Delta/C Program, Transfer Orders /1967 to 1974 MK Delta. He'd heard the name before, rumored sister project to MK Ultra. But officially, it didn't exist. Inside the box were folders, redacted reports, and worst of all, more tapes. One of them ended with a phrase he would never forget. They don't know we're inside their thoughts. He needed someone he could trust. He went to an old college friend, now a journalist for the Washington Beacon, named Daniel Cross. Cross agreed to meet, just once. In a diner off Interstate 66, Matthew played him the tape. Daniel said nothing at first, then slowly, "This changes everything, but it could get you killed." That night, Matthew slept with the tape under his pillow. The accident. 3 weeks to the day after he opened the envelope, Matthew Langley was declared dead. The official story, single-car accident on a bridge outside Arlington. Skid marks suggested no braking. Autopsy, inconclusive. The FBI closed the case in 2 days. His belongings were returned to the White House. The tape, gone. But the nurse who found him in the ER said something strange. Just before he coded, Matthew had whispered a single sentence. "They'll erase me, but don't let them erase the tape." 10 years later, a junior archivist at the Washington Beacon received a box from an anonymous donor. Inside, a battered cassette labeled C Program Audio D3 and a handwritten note. For Daniel Cross. Tell the truth before they rewrite it. The tape was digitized and stored, but it was never released until now. No agency has ever publicly admitted to MK Delta. No official record of Matthew Langley's employment exists in the Carter Library. And Daniel Cross. He disappeared in 1991 while researching a story on neurological warfare. The building where Matthew lived was demolished in 1983. But every year on the anniversary of his death, someone places a blank cassette on the stone where his name should be. No sound, no label, just silence. And sometimes, that's the loudest message of all. This story is entirely fictional and dramatized for entertainment purposes. But some files are still classified.
If this story moved you, don't forget to hit that like button, tell us where you're watching from in the comments, and most importantly, subscribe for more stories with powerful twists and unforgettable endings.